Well, hello there, and today we'll be interviewing Consus, the GeoGuessr World Cup champion. How are you doing, man? How's it going?
I'm doing very well still. Still kind of riding on a high from the World Cup, and yeah, still that nice feeling that I have.
Right up. So let's jump into the very first question. So, when did you first start playing GeoGuessr, and what motivated and inspired you to? Whether it is more for the casual, more for fun side of GeoGuessr, or as well as the competitive side.
I think the first time was a very long time ago when my brother showed it to me. Then we just played a few casual games, like some moving Netherlands games, and also against each other. But it's very different from how I play now. And then I think some years later I found GeoWizard's channel, and I watched his videos for a few years before I started playing myself. I started playing myself after the Royale was released. That really got me into it. I think Battle Royale was around Christmas 2020, if I remember correctly,
Yeah.
and
So
that's when I started to get into it.
yeah, I kind of started around a similar time. I think I my account was made like around October time in around
Uh,
the pandemic. So like I say,
uh,
I also watched one of the GeoWizard's compilations, and then some GeoPeter videos got me thinking, oh, you know what, I can actually learn some stuff, can get some countries correct without moving too much and worry about my terrible Wi-Fi and playing NMPZ. That's kind of
yeah.
how I started with terrible Wi-Fi on a random remote island. Also, like, what kind of got you more into the competitive sense? Was it the battle royales, or was there also other influences that got you more into it?
I think when I started, I was quite competitive, like very soon already, because I wanted to win Battle Royale. I had to know the clues for the right country. Yeah, I was watching Twitch streamers to learn from them, like a little bit of YouTube guides I watched back then also, and like I was competitive, like almost from
Yes.
the start.
Yeah, I think like once you start being competitive, it never leaves you. You always have that little urge in you to like do better, get that win, get those hard rounds done. Yeah, that's pretty awesome that you've been playing the game for such a long time and competitive for a long time. And like I say, you know, you haven't suddenly appeared. You've been in this game for quite a while, and like I say, it's very inspiring to see you start off in the battle royales, getting the countries all the way to get an opportunity to go into Stockholm, qualifying for Stockholm, and then going all the way to the end, which is one hell of a journey to think like in the space of
Yeah,
like two,
it's
three
been,
years. Yeah.
yeah, it's been a long ride indeed. But
How did you find the other experience of going to Stockholm to play GeoGuessr, represent the Netherlands, as well as also just meet up with all the friends you've met online for the very first time? How did you find the entire time in Stockholm?
it was amazing to see the other players like foremost, first and foremost. That's also the main reason I wanted to be there, and I think that's also what I mentioned after I won the quali. Like I was most excited about meeting the other players, and I think that's what I also remember. Like okay, I'm now world champion. Maybe I remember that the most, but like the meeting everyone is also very special.
Like even myself, I wasn't competing. I was really looking forward to because I've never met anyone ever. Like I haven't met any of the English lads
Mhm.
in person. Like it was the very first time, and I'm sure it's the very first time for everyone. Was it your first time meeting anyone?
It was the very first time I met other players in person.
Nice.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that was so very nice.
It took so long for it to sink in for me. I don't know about you, but like when the event was happening, I was like just in the moment, just talk to people like it was just some random VC, but in person, it just felt so unusual and bizarre, but amazing at the same time. But it's like such an amazing moment to happen. It's so amazing for it to happen. That feeling probably won't happen again. You know, like you know, it's everyone's been sat in the rooms just playing GeoGuessr, chatting in VCs, but to do it, meet people in person, there's things. It just has that extra bit to it. You're like, oh my god, like I'm here now. I've met everyone I've been talking to for the last 2 3 years, and now I'm performing in front of everyone tomorrow, and I'm thinking, oh my god, like that must be like one hell of a feeling, and like I say, it must excite you to like say, oh, got everyone watching. I guess also nerve wracking as well because you want to do your best and you want everyone to be happy with how you did and happy with yourself with how you did. You get that combination of being excited to meet everyone and to sure what you got in front of everyone, but also I'm sure the nerves were also there. But you seem to handle them quite well throughout most of it, and like when you needed to handle the nerves, you definitely capitalized on. That's one thing I noticed from you compared to other players is when you made that odd bad guess, you recovered. It's kind of like you forgot about it and moved on to the next round. I don't know how you were feeling in the moments when the odd off guess was happening, but to me it looked like you kind of handled rounds well, regardless.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, I was a bit of nervous surrounding the games, but when I started playing the games, I tried to shut everything off. Like especially on stage, I just tried to focus on the screen, not about the audience that was sitting right next to it. And yeah, so very focused. I try to maintain that focus, be very composed. And you're right. Like even when I made some bad guesses, I try to forget about them, just play the next round and think about that round and go on going from there.
Yep, it's professional. Like a lot of people don't understand how much pressure there is sitting. Like I was stressing it in the pre-qualifiers against Chicago in that final, but I went
Right.
bloody what's it? I was 50-50 in Chile and Kyrgyzstan. I was doing some swapping stuff going on from like 4.9 to 0, 4.9 to 0. And Chicago was doing the exact same thing, going through all the stress, doing New Zealand and Chile. And, like, that's the pre-qualifiers. I can't imagine how much more pressure is on you, you know, just sitting down, audience watching you, and even like just watching like all participants play, including yourself. It's like you can still see a little bit to the side of like your monitor of the crowd. I don't know if you're able to see it, but we saw the gaps
Yeah.
and stuff. So like trying to avoid that must have been like really difficult. But I guess once you lock in, you get a couple rounds in, you're kind of glued to the screen. And like I say, most people aren't really looking at you the whole game. They're looking at the bigger screen to the side where they can actually see where you're guessing, and you handled the occasion very well, and you thrived from it, and you showed what you were capable of,
Yeah.
and also your reaction to whenever rounds went well or bad was professional stuff. The one, moments like that probably made you win the whole thing, and like everyone knows you're one of the world's best players, and now you've proven it as well, even more. But that little bit of extra, managing during games makes a hell of a difference.
I think that's also visible from some of the rounds, like watching the tourney back, like the very last round against Fungus. Of course, he already wanted to win on the second to last round in Alabama. And
Yeah,
then the rest of the round shows up, and yeah, you can see him like he's not happy about it. And I am still trying to like really think about the round, and I think yeah, moments like that were like crucial for me
yeah.
to make it.
Yeah, I actually watched that back earlier today, and I also did an interview with Fungus as well, and he was explaining about his emotions that round before, and like how he was distracted and was like he shouldn't have sent so early, he should have like panned up
Yeah,
more north, concentrated a bit more. But like when things get so close like that on a rusher and you both know the road, but it's a very very long white road, it
yeah.
it must be the most horrific experience of just like this could be almost anywhere. Just need to line it up, find what makes sense, and like I say, it's just about keeping you cool and making sure you send. I guess that's logical enough, and that can make the difference rather than panic and just put a marker down without actually try and line things up. Especially on NPZ, it's even harder on NPZ to line things up. So in the moment, when it really matters, you capitalized on, like you
Yeah.
said, and I'd say that got you to the final, got you against Blinky, and then the rest is history. So
No, it's true though. Like all these different thoughts come into your head when you're sitting there sometimes, and then yeah, you try to shut them off. But it's sometimes it's hard. Like even in the group stage, I had these moments, especially against Trabota, because I think we both realized whoever won that game had a good chance to win the group and go through immediately to the next day. Yeah, that game also had some very like tense moments. Like it went all the way to the end to the NPC game, and
yeah,
yeah,
I wish I saw more of it, because I saw little bits. I think it was the bit on the B. Was it on the B stream? I believe. I think it was on the B
it
stream.
was on the beast stream
I
indeed.
need to
Yeah,
watch it fully, because I kind of missed out. I remember one round where I think it was mispanned and it looked like a skewed world round. I don't remember. There was one round like that. I'm like, oh my
Japan
gosh.
round.
Was it Japan?
Japan.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
in Japan, right? It wasn't fully bent to the road. Yeah, it was like more
yeah.
towards the lake.
Yeah, when the skewed world practice unintentionally works.
Yeah, yeah,
But even Trabota had a great run. He had probably
yeah,
the toughest set of opponents. He had you, then he had Topotic to beat, then he had Radu, probably the most informed Radu in the whole thing he played
yeah,
against. And shout out to Trabota. He put on a great fight, and to get that far against so many hard opponents. And he's in that talking bracket in my opinion. It was without question being a top 10, top 5 player. He's put a lot of time
oh,
into the
definitely,
game
yeah,
and
yeah,
deserves all the credit.
yeah. He's up there for sure.
Being known as the GeoGuessr World Cup champion must be like one hell of a feeling and truly feel special for you. And it's crazy to think you started the competition in the World Cup qualifiers and you got through, you made it to Stockholm, got to day two, and I believe you were unbeaten. And on the final day, you went the distance and you lifted the trophy. And I'm just curious, and I think a lot of us are curious, is how did you find the entire experience of the event? Performing in the group stage, all the way to performing in front of a crowd. How did it feel performing in front of an audience? And also, how would you describe your emotions in the moment when you realized, oh, I've won? and and how did it feel like lifting the trophy in front of the crowd, in front of all your friends, family, and streamed to tens of thousands of people online? Like, how did that feel, and how does it compare to now?
Uh, like playing was a bit strange, especially the first day. Like a whole new setting. I'm very used to my own setting at home, and then we have to play on different PC, different mouse. That was like sometimes hard to use, and cameras, of course.
Yep.
Like I was sitting there playing the group stage, and in front of me were Raymond and the casters casting the other group with a big screen that I could also follow. So I had to like not to try to watch too much of that. Like
Hmm.
try to play my games. But eventually I got like used to it, and even the second day, I think yeah, it wasn't really a problem to go on stage. Like walking on stage, it's a special feeling, but sitting there, I tried to shut it off for the most as far as I could. And then yeah, when I made it in the end, like the first moments when I realized I won, like I didn't really want to believe it myself yet. Like I started questioning it, like, is this really the end? Is there maybe another game that we have to play? But yeah, it was still a bit of disbelief. But eventually, when I was standing there and the audience was like applauding and everything, it was very special, and I definitely got a bit emotional when I was standing there.
Yeah, yeah. And like, especially lift the trophy as well. Like everyone clapping,
Oh
celebrating.
yeah,
Man, that was wild. Like the audience,
yeah,
like the crowd were amazing. I was part of the crowd,
definitely,
and it was
yeah,
unbelievable. Like
yeah,
it was truly, it's history. Like it's history. Like that photo of you lifting the trophy, both
yeah,
angles. I think there was a photo from Gelotus, and there was another, the main photo of you in the middle. That's
yeah,
history. That will always be there
yeah.
in the game, and you've left an imprint on GeoGuessr history, and that's really special. And to be even like part of that image is amazing, but for you to be the person lifting the trophy up, even though it kind of broke partway through at some point,
Yeah,
yeah, it must
it's
be,
unfortunate, but no, but looking at it back at those pictures with me lifting the trophy and the audience standing there, it's yeah, it's really nice to see. Like
yeah,
I love those pictures.
yep. Yeah, like I say, the casting was amazing. Like the whole
Yeah,
event was unbelievable. Like it kind of exceeded a lot of expectations. Like myself, I was like, if it's the first time, it might not be perfect in terms of broadcasting, etc. But it's a great opportunity to meet people, meet the players. I've been talking for
yeah,
the last few years. But man, the production was almost immaculate, and it was
yeah.
so entertaining, and you can't really ask much more, and it really shocked a lot of people. It really excites us for the next one as well. If that does happen, and hopefully it happens. But yeah, like
I have good hopes. So
yeah,
no, no, but you're right. Like the whole tourney Yeah, I think like production was flawless. I think I can say.
Yeah,
Like even for the players, like it was everything was clear. We just got to play our games, and yeah, like yeah, they took care of us very well. Like outside of the tourney itself. So yeah, for us it was also a really good experience.
yeah, like they also help you. They help with your flights. They help with the accommodation. Like
Yeah,
that's really a massive bonus. It puts less stress on you to pay for it all. And like I say, some people like Ziggs, like had to go all the way from like Australia, Trabota from Singapore, like to have that opportunity without worrying about travel costs and finding a place to stay and you know having some going to some nice restaurants as I've seen, like it
yeah,
must have been a real treat. And
yeah,
yeah, like all credit to the organisers, the crew, the casters
yeah,
for making it
absolutely.
all happen.
Yeah,
Which, of course, you don't need to give away too much of your secrets, of course. But how did you like prepare for the GeoGuessr World Cup? Of course, you started off in the qualifiers.
yeah.
So how did you prepare for it? Like probably before the qualifiers, then once you knew you got through, did your preparation change? And were there any moments in particular where you trained for something, you practiced a country that really helped you or made a difference in the game? Was there any moments in the World Cup where you're like, thank God, thankfully I learned that and now I know and it helped me survive, survive around or win a game? Did you have any moments like that?
Well, I started practicing a bit for the quali for sure. I wasn't really used to playing moving duels, so I had to try that. Played some competitive and like the bi-weekly ACW tourneys.
Yep.
And like one thing also before the quali, I played a lot of NPC. Like that was the main thing on my mind. If it gets to the last game, the deciding game NPC, I want to make sure I win that one.
Yep.
So I definitely practiced that one a lot. Like when I got through quali, like I almost felt like I achieved what I wanted to achieve. So I didn't really play for I think it was about 2 weeks before I started realizing like maybe I can do well at the World Cup. I should put some effort in it. I kind of made a schedule for myself in my head for I want to play these kind of countries, like some bigger ones, some countries I'm not good at, like Norway, New Zealand. So I kind of went through all of those. I kind of switched countries each day and then went back to them a few days later. And then, like eventually, when the map and format became somewhat clear,
Hmm.
I started thinking to myself, like multi is going up very quickly. What if I know like certain phone codes in European countries? Maybe I can end like on one round if I know one of those. So I started learning those as well. But unfortunately, those weren't very useful in the end. I think maybe once or twice I got to use them. But it was mainly like bigger countries that I tried to learn for the World Cup itself.
Yeah, very sensible. And like I say, I think like I say with Ericos, I feel like they're very underrated. Of course, a bit unfortunate there wasn't many opportunities in the World Cup, but there are so many rounds, especially whenever I decide to do that the competitive duels. There's always an area code, like for example in Poland or any other countries that I haven't really learned them, and I'm like, "Oh, if I just memorized the pattern, a basic pattern,
Right.
it will make a massive difference, and maybe like I say, it will finish the game earlier, or it might make a little difference later on. And like it's good that you focus on the big countries because big countries, more points, more damage, more important to get close in those countries, get the road right more often. And then you've got scenarios where you've got information that if you use it, you can actually region guess without pinpointing quicker, especially on the moving aspect. If you want to guess quick, put pressure on your opponent, especially if like you're saying like you're more leaning towards the no move NPZ side, and you want those quick guesses, those quick information, quick guesses, put the pressure on your opponent. And if they are pinpoints, if they want to leave it to the last second, then all the pressure's on them, and you've just sent it, and what it will be. But yeah, some great preparation schedule. It's very good to have. Like I've tried to
Yeah.
get a schedule going for myself, just for myself to improve for the fun of it, because I enjoy learning and I enjoy getting better at the game without molding really hard, without whilst misunderstanding metas. That happens a lot, but I'm trying to be more positive about it and try and
Yeah.
keep looking back at rounds and thinking, right, I messed up here. Let's look at the round. What can I do better next time? And keeping a track of the rounds you did wrong, I'm sure is going to help you eventually. Like you're going to have like I said, so like even playing like Debra's Balanced World Map, although it hasn't really been too actively updated. I don't know if he's updated it since. He doesn't really say when it's updated, but that map's really challenging. And when you get a country wrong, you can look back. And if you get that type of round again, you're like, oh, actually, I recognize this. I recognize landscape. And, on those tough rounds, you can make a difference. I don't think we had too much like hard country rounds where we didn't know which country it was. It was mostly country, yes, region, were, or region, yes, 5k were. Like, hopefully next time, next World Cup, we'll see more moments where it's really hard to get the country rather than region guess, and I'm sure a lot of us, including you, will probably benefit from that because, like I say, you took part in so many rainbow tournaments as well in the past, and won quite a few of them, and it's you know eventually that's going to benefit you, like just that experience. Like I say, taking part in tourneys will also get used to the pressure a little bit. Obviously, it's different in front of people, but you kind of get used to that competitive setting.
I think like the big country preparation didn't really was very fitting for the map in the end. Like there was many info close by to the locations, so
Yeah.
it wasn't that useful to know like rural Argentina roads or things like that. But yeah, maybe like for the next World Cup.
But like I say, you didn't know what the rounds were going to be like. You just had an idea of the format. It was 10 rounds, you had multipliers. I need to make sure I'm prepared. So if a really hard round comes up, I can at least find a way to get a good guess in, and not keep myself stuck in the mud. If it ends up being an information race, as long as I learn area codes and certain region clues, I should be good. Obviously, if you're against someone like Blinky, who's just the best at that, which
Yeah,
you did face him in the final, you know, it's going to be really hard to beat him on the more information-based rounds on moving. But like I say, you got the win on moving, and you think were you the only person to beat him on a game of moving the entire
I
tournament.
was. Yes, yeah. I
Yeah,
think it was like before the final. I was 8 out of 8, if I
yeah, it
remember
was it was
correctly. So
100%. Yeah, it was.
yeah, 100%. Yeah. Now it's also one of those things like about information that Blinky knows, and like I'm maybe more new to it, like more new to or less experienced in moving, because I think the final round of the moving game,
Mm.
our first moving game, like the Poland voivodeship, or if I pronounce it correctly,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I try to learn Poland's phone codes, and I think there are way more of them than voivodeships or regions, and
yeah,
like I just picked the wrong one to learn, and you knew what the one, and yeah,
yeah. I
it's one of
mean,
those things.
like I say, he's done it for a very long time. So like, even just it was just you trying to get as close as possible or guess early, and hopefully he doesn't have enough time to 5k. Because if it is a 5k race, if it's a speed race, Blinky's probably going to be quicker at it.
Uh,
But
yeah.
like I said, can you like go through like your second moving game? Like, how did that pan out again? Because you got the victory on that one. What was different about that game compared to the other game?
Yeah, I think like first round Blinky got closer first 2 rounds, and then there was a Panama round, and like I didn't really have any good info. I ended up clicking close to capital last second, and it was like lucky that it was there.
Yeah,
Greece round again, no info, but I recognized valleys south of us, so I got very close. And then I think the rest of the game was quite even, but it was mainly the Alabama round where I was lucky to find the right road, and he he couldn't find it. So I think
yeah.
it the game came down to that round in the end.
Yeah, like very fine margins and like having those 2 rounds, and then it was just like latching on, just get really close, and
Yeah,
you know hopefully you should get the victory. And like I say, to beat Blinky on moving is a great achievement in itself, and that put you in
yeah,
an amazing position. But you still had to
yeah.
get the job done in the no moving side, and yeah, the rest is history. You say
Yeah.
Alabama was like the Fungus game was Alabama as well, weren't it? Where you
All
almost
right.
lost. Yes. So
Yeah,
the
that was.
parallels,
That,
the parallels. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's definitely. Yeah, I didn't think of that, but yeah.
Yeah.
almost lose in the semifinal because of Alabama, and then win maybe the whole tournament because of that Alabama round.
Right, well, let's move on to the final question. What advice would you give out to the new wave of players who have come to GeoGuessr, want to play GeoGuessr, want to get better at GeoGuessr, and whether it is to casual players who just want to learn for fun and get the countries, or perhaps anyone who's got back into GeoGuessr after a long wait who wants to get into the competitive side again? What pieces of advice or areas would you suggest for them to look to get into GeoGuessr more and improve themselves?
I think when you start out, you shouldn't really focus too much about learning specific things, metas. Maybe like a few basic ones are always helpful, but I think it's better to try to enjoy the game, learn what countries look like. I mean, like how do I say this? Attain vibes, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, vibes, yeah. Get a vibe of like
Yeah,
the environments and yeah, landscapes.
yeah. I think, yeah. Like you get that over time, and I think just about playing over and over. That's more helpful than like trying to get into specific metas immediately.
Yeah, I totally agree because like you could learn certain meta clues, but if you get really good at getting familiar with a region, it's like those clues don't really matter or matter at all anymore because you've kind of learned what the area looks like. For example, what would be a good country where you might have loads of metas, but if you get good at landscape, like even like Argentina, there might be some Argentina metas out that are really, really specific. But if you are good at reading the landscape and using the valleys correctly, line up the compass, basic skills like that, you probably won't even need to learn which road has this certain thing or this road has certain that. Like you've already got to the point where you've reached that point where it's that region guessable and that learnable that you've nailed it. But obviously that's quite an extreme example, but for new players that could be something as simple as I don't know, learning some obscure clue to identify Kenya, but you just need to look at the car or, and get used to what the
Yeah,
car looks like. And
yeah,
yeah, I totally agree. I feel like I kind of probably fell for that at one point where all this new stuff was coming out. And I didn't really play as much. Most of the time I was just sitting, reading, soaking it in. But it didn't really do much because you kind of forget about it as well. Like if you just read, you forget things. If you play it systematically, if there's maps made to help test you on those things, then
yeah,
I think that's probably the better solution than just purely reading. If there's a map to practice on soon after and
yeah.
just play a lot of the country, then that's probably the best. That's probably one of the better ways to learn, whether you're a beginner or just want to get better at country. Is there any other? So let's say like a player's got to the point where okay, they've got good enough vibes to get countries, general countries or general regions correct. What do you think will be the next step after that to continue building up?
Well, there's a lot of information out there already now. Like people started making guides for a lot of countries, pointing out very specific clues. And what I like to do myself is like I try to look into that, but not really study them. So I kind of know what can be used and what I need to look at, and then like go play the country like myself to see is uh, what is common to see, what is less common, what should I like try to remember, what is or what's more pointless.
Yep.
So I try to figure out what are the most helpful things from those guides and keep using them.
Yep, yep, totally agree. Like, there could be certain clues in guides where it doesn't really make much difference to you. Like I say, like for example, I looked at some African countries. Like, if you really, really want to get good at Ghana, for example, then yeah, be really specific and be just really good at the country. But like, if you want an overall good all-roundness, then obviously I
Yeah,
feel like looking at real clues that are very detailed. Like for example, if there's like loads of street sign metas and stuff like that, is there real much value in that compared to learning the roads, learning the landscape better and how to separate the North Africana with South Africana, East from West, and kind of getting those better region guesses in. And that could be the same for any other country. So like it's kind of finding, like you said, what benefits you most and will improve your game more significantly and like I say, just building that up and like I say, sparing your time to do your own So research, and like I say, you can read a guide, and there might be stuff out there that might say, "Oh, this works most of the time," but most of the time doesn't mean all the time. So you still need to play, get used to it, and see how useful the actual clue is and how often it is. So you could have a clue that could be helpful 5 times out of 10, but 5 out of 10 it's somewhere else, and you're like, maybe I need to be more careful with this one, and maybe I should look for other clues to be more confident and kind of like take everything in, like you said, and whatever helps improve you for that country. Especially with time on your side as well, especially if you're preparing for the World Cup, you kind of don't want to waste too much time
Yeah.
on clues that won't make as much of a significant difference as others for other countries. And it's just trying to find that balance, for it.
It's like mainly about trying to take the most useful things from each country, and it's also a bit about preference for the player itself. Like if you want to be a real expert at a single country, yeah, you'll have to learn like every small detail there is. But if you want to do well around, there's absolutely no need to get so much into detail in every country.
Yep, yep, I agree. And like I say, there's different ways that anyone can approach GeoGuessr and learn GeoGuessr. They don't have to read guides. They could watch YouTube videos of people playing. They could go on Twitch and do chat guesser.
Yeah,
Like I learned a lot through chat guesser streams back in the day,
yeah,
and even
that's
like
what I
one
meant.
tip now
Like
as well.
at the start of the interview too. Like I went to Twitch when I started, and like people are very friendly there, the streamers, and they really want to help out everyone. If you ask them for some like info on a certain round, they'll gladly share it. So I think that's also a good way to get into the game.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like I feel like there's a lot of examples out there. You can go on certain Twitch streams, and each different Twitch stream you'll take something different from. And like I say, even now you've got people like Cinema Niku stream who, for me, are really good. He's a really good educational streamer for any new players.
Mm.
He's a great example who's still active now,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
there are quite a few other names out there. But like I say, definitely go on Twitch, keep an eye on those streams. Make Potato as well.
Yeah,
I think whenever Average streams now and then, like those lads are really know their stuff as well, and they are open to answering any questions if whether you're a beginner, whether you're more well within the community and more experienced. Those lads are really nice and at least either give you the answer or point you in the right direction to learn it. And like I say, Twitch is very underrated in the community, so anyone from YouTube definitely keep an eye on Twitch streams because that's how a lot of us got started learning stuff and also probably motivated us and we joined loads of Discord servers probably from Twitch as well. And the GeoGuessr's Discords, there's a lot of them. But like I say, if you want to meet new people, build more friendships, like I say, one thing that kept me playing GeoGuessr, not necessarily because it was helpful competitively, even though it was playing with others and teaming
yeah,
with others. And you take information, you share information, and there'll be things that we were brought up that you wouldn't even think of ever. And the same goes either way. And like I feel like GeoGuessr longevity wise has built up as more of a togetherness, and generally most people have improved together rather than alone. Like it's quite rare for someone to come out of nowhere with no interaction with other community members to be unbelievable. It probably will happen again at some point or at some point, but like I say, it's pretty unlikely.
uh,
And keeping in touch with people and playing with people you have fun with can
yeah,
keep you in the game and make you more motivated.
yeah, definitely.
You got any final things to add before the end of the interview?
Well, I can say like once again that I really enjoyed the event and like how nice everyone there was. Like it's really a great community that we have. And yeah,
Y-
thank you everyone for that.
Yep, I'm honestly so happy to, there was a point where I could have left as well, could have left the community, could have left and stopped playing GeoGuessr a year and a half back, and to stay, build friendships, and just, take part in streams and just continue to play. Like we do really have a special community here and a very
Yeah,
friendly
absolutely.
community. And
Yeah,
what the developers have done for the World Cup, it's really positive, and for the way they've reacted with the feedback has been really amazing, and we should feel very lucky and fortunate to have such an open community, and like I say, the bond's never been stronger. And like I say, it just makes the next World Cup even more possible. And yeah, hopefully it does happen. I believe it will with how successful it was. And whether it's a 1v1 or it is a team World Cup, I would
We'll
love a
see.
team World Cup. Probably give you
Yeah.
a better chance of getting in, but
I mean, why not both?
why not both? Exactly. Like they've
Yeah.
probably got the facilities to do it now, especially if it continues to be successful. And
Yeah.
yeah, just gotta keep positive, look forward to the future. And thank you so much, Consus, for
Yeah.
accepting the interview, spending your time. And it's been a great chat. And it's great to get to know you better as well in person. And yeah, man. Also, best of luck to the next one. I'm sure you're definitely gonna
Thank you.
battle and keep that silverware for yourself.
Yeah, we'll see. Still far from now, but
Yeah, yeah.
we'll see around that time. But, yeah, it
Yeah.
was nice speaking to you.